So in the cards of truth, the first thing you want to do is check the domination of the suits for Donald Trump. So we know that for the three of diamonds, the maximum cards is 5. It belongs to the hearts. Minimum is 2. It belongs to the clubs. Okay, let's see how it is connected for Donald Trump. So in the spades, he gets 5 planets. Ace of spade and 5 of spade are the only 2 spade cards among the 7 conscious planets here. For the hearts, he gets 5 planets. Then for the clubs, he gets 2. Diamonds, he has none. No planets in those cards. It's very interesting. Nonetheless, you notice that the birth card is a 3 of diamonds. The ecliptic is also a king of diamonds. So those two are very important cards for him now, along with the 7 of diamonds, because the 3 of diamonds, the most important position is the Mars card. So we will see how the planets will, of course, interact with each other to make all these things happen. But the spades and hearts are equally dominant, followed by the clubs and no diamonds in his case. So interestingly, he's been a person, even though with so many diamond cards that are important for him, the ecliptic and the birth and the Mars position, still he filed for bankruptcies, right? That's the 7 of diamonds and the lack of diamonds in the spread itself, you can see. Of course, it's interesting to also notice the hearts because he's still popular. He was part of the media entertainment industry. People gave him the popular vote when he won the elections. And he's always followed by people. That's the hearts at the end of the day, even on Twitter. The other interesting thing is the very lack of clubs also, right? That's only having that 9 of clubs among the 7 conscious planets and a starved planet in the 9 of clubs. That itself is speaking quite a lot of problems here, right? Because the 4 of clubs, the other club card, is falling in the 9 of clubs and those two cards are connected. You notice that the 2 cards are only the clubs here and there is a starved planet here. 9 of clubs is supposed to be the most intelligent person out there, but he did the polar opposite of that because of the starved planets there. And 9 of clubs is a card where person is deeply investigative and they think highly, invest a lot of time and energy into processing information. That's why it's one of the best cards for research. But he's the opposite of that. He doesn't take time at all to investigate and he's very superficial. Whatever he hears, he just babbles it out, right? That's what happens there with the clubs being so least dominant. Both are connected even by Bhavat Bhava. And there is starved planet there. Venus himself was also starved and he's in the hearts. All this negative information that he throws out there, which leads to that 7 of hearts, negative publicity for him, and that painful situation with the public because it's all happening in the card of the moon, right? So let's see how the strengths and weaknesses play out for him. So in the strengths and weaknesses, the best thing is we see the sun card is at maximum value for them. That's where Mars is there. The 3 of diamond is falling, the birth card, Pluto is there. Pluto card was an average card, but Pluto is going to behave like the sun and also that Rajayoga Karaka Mars. Mars was super fantastic for him, we saw that. And all his career has been about the Ace of Spade. From many points of view, you can see that the sun who rules this is in the 5 of spade, is conjunct Rahu and also Uranus there, which is the 6 of hearts. So Ace of spade and 5 of spade are connected. Mercury card was one of the weakest cards. So even the best sun card becomes average now because it's connected to Mercury. Alright. And Rahu is there. Rahu is a pretty decent card for them. It's in the 75 percentile. Those two are connected and another hearts card is connected. But what is the career for him? Let's take out his real estate profession directly. One thing is he bought all these properties and he remodeled and he improved the business and he sold them. So that is that birth and rebirth card with the Ace of Spade, right? Buying things, changing things, remodeling it and then selling it. The change even is seen through the 5 of Spade here. Both those cards are constantly working on improvement. But for him, those things are connected to career because even Mars, who is the 7 of diamond connected to land and real estate here, is in that Ace of Spade. That's the most important connection. He is the one forming the Raj Yoga. Then of course we have Pluto also there, a two of diamond card. Two of diamond is always connected to land, purchase of land and property, real estate and all of that. But Pluto was an average card. We also see the birth card's nature itself, which is a three of diamond. That is the nature of three of diamond. Remember I told you is a card of temporary things. It's not the card of holding on to those things permanently. And here the two of diamond, the purchase, is temporary, the three of diamond. Because he buys it, keeps it for temporary things, he remodels it with the five of spade, and then he sells it. He goes into both ups and downs with that. The reason is Mars is here and he is actually a low value card because he's only 5 points, mediocre, right? But he's forming the Raj Yoga, but it's still a tough card. It's a 7 of diamond. It's connected to the fourth cusp as well. So some of the businesses were successful, but the casino business, for instance, is still an organization and that led to losses. And particularly for casino business, it's also the three of diamond, two of diamond thing, right? Where person is coming into your casino and gambling. That's connected to the nine of hearts, the semi-fixed nature of the seven of diamonds. They're throwing away money for the sake of some immense pleasure they get. That money is temporary and they lose it. If they win, they make the king of diamonds, all right? But if they lose, they make a big fool out of themselves. Remember, the king of diamond energizes the seven of diamonds. Those two connections are also going on. The interesting thing is, for his casino business, we need the eighth cusp also involved. And you notice that here, Jack of Hearts, King of Hearts are connected because Ketu, who rules the King of Hearts, is in the Jupiter card. Moon is also there, who rules the Seven of Hearts, and those three starved planets there. Moon card itself was a very low value card. He goes into the Jupiter card, which was pretty decent. Jupiter by himself was a solid position of falling in between 50 to 75 percentile. But Jupiter as a planet was starved in the nine of clubs. Now we have a connection between Jupiter, Moon, and the seven of hearts. So the Jack of Hearts is also connected to the seven of hearts. Ketu is conjunct the Moon. The King of Hearts card is also going to work with the seven of hearts. All are at the heart suit. And the eighth cusp is also there. So the eighth cusp is other people's money, and Jupiter is trying to avoid this card. He's going into the starvation. So he was starved because of finances. When the casino business failed, he went for filing this bankruptcy, which is the nine of clubs. It's still a clubs, right? You're filing for something. It's an ordeal that you have to complete with the nine of clubs. Normally, business closures are seen with the nine of clubs. It has been a tough event, you can see, because of the star planets. And on top of all of this, another nine is getting activated in that equation, which is the Saturn card, the nine of spade. The seventh cusp of business is here. Saturn, who rules this, is in the star situation in the seven of hearts. It's extremely difficult card, right? We see it's a moon card is the lowest value, and it becomes even lower for him because there are three star planets in the moon card. Now there is a severe starvation happening to the moon card. So that moon is not necessarily going to be perfect. Jupiter can support it because he's a little bit strong. Ketu can also support it, is mediocre because of moon Ketu conjunction there. But the two nines are also activated by the two kings, right? The dominant energy of the kings is in the nines. Then it also works with the sevens. And unfortunately, the kings, the nines and sevens, all three are closely connected through the planets as well. So this is what leads to the bankruptcy in the business, and that seven of diamond card, of course, is the big fortunes, the fourth cusp and the ninth cusp, the Raj Yoga Karaka. Mars is there, so he does that. He files for it openly, and then we also notice the tax evasion problems here, right? Because the ace of spade is getting involved, and ace of spade is a card I told you is about hidden things because it's the seed in the ground. When it is reversed or it is not working in your favor, it shows hidden things. One of the big criticisms about him is that he never disclosed the tax receipts that he has paid, right? The tax files, all of it was hidden. Why is there a problem here and why is it taxes? Keep this in mind that the aces are strongly energized by the jacks. Jack of hearts, ace of spades are compatible, right? And the strongest energy is also here. We have a connection between the diamonds here, which is all about money. The two of diamonds Pluto card, three of diamonds birth card, all are falling in the ace of spades. And again, it was all about temporary things, showing something and disclosing it and not being open about it is seen through the hidden nature of Pluto here. Okay, Pluto is still something that is hidden, right? It is a state of death and it is connected to Mars, the assets here, the seven of diamonds. So all those things go on, unfortunately, and the Jack of Hearts, the eighth cusp of taxes, is getting connected, right? So all this pulls off the hidden nature to the taxes, and that leads to big problems because of the starved nature of that Jupiter, who rules the eighth cusp. Much of it came to limelight in the window of 1998 onwards, right? When he started to run the moon card, and that's where the three planets are, right? And of course, the nines are the death cards here, and both Venus and Saturn are going into the seven of hearts. Mercury is there, the five of spades. There was constant problems and constant changes. Five of spades is one of those cards of conflict. We see that Mercury, who rules the second cusp of resources, is also in the seven of hearts. The sevens and nines work, the kings are energizing them, right? The two sevens are energized by the kings, and the nines are also working in close collaboration here, and that leads to all these problems with the taxes. Particularly, we don't like to see diamonds connected to the ace of spade when it is afflicted. Here, Mars as a planet is doing great, but you notice that the Mars card is going to be working with the Jack of Hearts, and that ruler is afflicted. And remember, not only the eighth cusp is about taxes, Moon and Jupiter are all about money, right? Those are the two money planets. And both of them are connected to starved natures here, and nines, of course. So you can think of the nines also as somewhere hidden in nature because the nines are very much internalized cards. And in nature, if you notice, the nines, after the death of the tree, it still goes back to the soil, right? The nine of clubs is the leaves. After it dies, it goes back to the soil. And the nine of spades is a tree. After it dies, it becomes one with all the five elements, right? That is there. So that goes on, and you can think of that also as a hidden thing. They're all connected to the ace of spades. So that's a very tough situation with these taxes. All right. Then we have to talk about this other simpler profession, which is about media communication, right? In that a show apprentice is sitting there, is having women and men compete for his attention for the approval of their business ideas. And that's very simple here. You can notice the three of diamonds is one of the cards that is his birth card itself connected to that seven of diamonds through Mars, right? And seven of diamonds is a card of investment. People are competing for his attention. Why is attention? Because the three of diamond is falling in the ace of spades, seven of diamond is also there, right? The Mars, the ruler, and Mars rules the threes, keep that in mind. So it's automatically activating the seven of diamonds and the three of diamonds. Why is attention? Because it's the ace of spade. It's the aces are all about the self. Now, because the ace of spade is activated, is going to activate Jupiter, the Jack of Hearts ruler. And what is the Jack of Hearts? Jack of Hearts is connected to the Nine of Clubs here, and that is connected to the 10th cusp, which is the King of Diamonds. So the interesting thing is, the Seven of Diamonds is energized by the King of Diamonds. King of Diamonds is going to work with the Nine of Clubs. So King of Diamonds is that specialist advisor when it comes to business and investment. He is that. He is like a person that has been invested in many other different resources. People were competing on his show for him to back them up, right? They wanted to have his investments or, I think, get his attention for their business and their value. It became a show. Why was it a TV show? Because you notice that we have the planets which are Mercury and Venus also connected to this. We need the entertainment planets. Venus, of course, rules the third cusp here. King of Diamond works with the Nine of Clubs. Venus, who rules this, is falling in the Seven of Hearts moon card. Mercury is conjunct Venus. The seventh cusp of public fame, Saturn is conjunct Venus. And we need Mercury for being on the media entertainment card, right? And that's a card that is connected to the 11th cusp of profits and the second cusp of money. It's again a card that is energized by the king, right? The Seven of Hearts. And much of it, the show also happened in the moon window from 1998 to 2050 when this card started running. The other nice thing about the Seven of Hearts is that its ruler is, of course, the Jack of Hearts, and that's a show that was loved. I probably think he had a lot of success also in that show. The fifth cusp of creativity is also involved here. On that show, he also had created the Seven of Hearts for many people, right? Which is many other people did not get the chance to be there, and that's a disappointment. On top of that, he was using this term, you are fired, and that's a very painful term to hear. That's the Seven of Hearts. That's the interesting nature of these connections falling for his media entertainment thing. But you notice that there are no strong cards that are media centered like we have seen in the past, like the Three of Clubs, Five of Clubs, or the strong diamonds that have to be bringing that super high success in media. Particularly, we need the clubs. We only see the Nine of Clubs here and the Four of Clubs. So it was just a talk show kind of thing. With the Three of Diamonds, it can be like that. Three of Diamonds is like a two-way learning kind of situation. You're sitting there discussing and negotiating and all of that. And of course, the Three of Diamond ruler is Mars, who is in the Ace of Spades, and he's activating the Seven of Diamonds, which is energized by the King of Diamonds. So all that is the theme of his show that he was running. The Nine of Clubs here can show also the closing of the business deal. So the show was all about talking about business and closing about those things. That also we can see here. Another interesting thing about him that he wrote three books. And what was the nature of those three books? All about himself, right? That's the Ace of Spades. It's all about himself. Mars is Atmakaraka is also there. The self factor, the luck, which is connected to the Three of Diamond, is also there. Three books that led to expressing himself in the world. That is the nature of those books as well. So it was all about himself. You notice that the Five of Spades, one book, The Art of Comeback, that's the Five of Spades, and the Mars, the fighting nature of Mars, and the Ace of Spades, Five of Spades. The other one was Trump surviving at the top, which is that Sun, right, connected to the 11th cusp, and that Sun Rahu conjunction, having that grandiosity to write about himself and surviving. The very word surviving is connected with the fives, and it's the card of survival. Okay, it's the card of fighting, and here he wants to survive on the top because the Sun is there. Sun is connected to the Ace of Spades, and it's also connected to the 11th house of being on the top of the food chain, the titles. Then the Trump, The Art of Deal. This was the third book that came out, and all this apparently happened in this window before 1998, right? And that's the Ace of Spade and the Five of Spade connection. Particularly in those windows was when he was writing. And for writing, of course, we need the clubs involved, and we need Mercury involved. We need the fifth cusp, the third cusp involved. The third cusp is falling in the Nine of Clubs to complete the deal. The art of deal is also seen through the Nine of Clubs. Venus, who rules that, is conjunct Mercury in the moon card of writing planet, right? And then you also have moon in the Jupiter card, the Jack of Hearts, to pull off that connection, because Jack of Hearts is housing the fifth cusp where moon is conjunct. So now we have the writing planets and the hearts involved, and he sold books, he made money. He made money through that Seven of Diamonds, Mars being in the Ace of Spades. So the very words and titles of his book, and the three books, the three resources, right? All of it very nicely we can see in this connection to writing. Next, we have to talk about the very important theme that is about his presidency. And he became the president in the Seven of Hearts window. When this happened, it was a big surprise because how did the Seven of Hearts give the presidency? And you notice also it's a low value card. It's a 1998 to 2050 running moon card here. But three planets are here. One is Venus, who is starred Mercury, the Five of Spades is here. Then Saturn is there, the Nine of Spades. All these are again energies of the king, right? The seventh and the ninth. So these cards are all connected now. So the two kings are activating them. That's the King of Hearts Ketu card and King of Diamonds Ecliptic card. You notice that the King of Diamond is one of the most powerful cards for them, the Ecliptic. A 9-pointer card, just falling short by 2 points to the maximum value. Same like the Sun, it's a very powerful card. And also keep in mind the aces and sevens interact by numbers. So the starved planet still gave him the presidency. And why is that? If you want, you can pause for a minute and think. Alright, the reason is the moon card ruler, which is the planet moon, is in the Jack of Hearts. It's a great card, it's a face card. Again, Jacks and Sevens also interact, they are the same suit. Then we have the most important connection, which is the King of Hearts, right? The moon and Ketu connection going there. The kings are getting strongly activated here. One thing I did not discuss, there are some advanced concepts here. For a Leo ascendant, Jupiter is the most important planet, and based on this was my prediction that time when he became the president that he had a very good chance of becoming. Because from if you read my article about Bhavat Bhavam on the website, which is a free article, there you will notice that Leo, their life path will become solid once Jupiter Dasha or Jupiter gets activated for them. Because Leo is the fifth Rashi, fifth from the fifth for them, is ruled by the sign Sagittarius, which is taken care by the Graha Jupiter. So Jupiter is getting activated now by the moon. And here we see that kings are also getting activated. The two kings, of course, are the most important one. The very nature of his presidency was the nature of Ketu here, right? Because Mars was in Maga Nakshatra, if you remember, and that's the throne. Ketu is the king of hearts, and those two cards are getting activated. Then the ecliptic, of course, will work with this because the two kings are going to work. Of course, it's not compatible. Why was it not compatible? This is why the compatibility is so important. He won the popular vote. People expected a lot from him, which is the hearts. The people are the hearts, right? They put him on the throne. But he was skilled enough to do it? No. Very clearly we see that. Because the king of hearts is not compatible with the king of diamonds. What he wanted to do and what happened were two different things here. Yes, the ecliptic is a great card. But what is the nature of Ketu is just a 5-pointer card. Then what is the nature of planets giving this? They're all starved planets. And this king of hearts will strongly work with the 7 of hearts. The starved planets are not going to deliver. Why didn't he deliver? Because this ecliptic is also connected to that 9 of clubs, which is holding that starved Jupiter, who is the ruler of the Jack of hearts. So he tried to do many things, but without having any skills here, because the ecliptic is going to behave like that starved Jupiter, right? Wherever is the 10th cusp, and the influence on the 10th cusp is going to be there. Then in addition to that, we see Venus, who rules this, is also starved. Okay, Venus, of course, is the politician. Venus is the minister, the diplomat. And he never had any diplomatic proper ties with foreign countries. Major foreign policies were a big failure, including the trade war with China. To some extent, you can say it was positive. It was needed to cut down the tracks and stop the Chinese people to go on the top. But the other things like stopping the Muslim immigration and the immigration from Mexico, all these are debatable, questionable topics. On top of that, the other important situation for him was the Iran nuclear deal. That was a good success, but he had absolutely zero diplomacy with Europeans. The European countries did not favor him as president. It did not go well with the Europeans that he was the president. Most of their countries that had good ties with America did not work very well because of his presidency. That's that King of Hearts, 7 of Hearts. And again, the 12th cusp is here of foreign things and foreign places. So big problems here, we notice, because of the starved nature of planets. Then the interesting thing is that this is the window that he also lost his presidency. He did not retain the second term, right? And that, of course, is very clearly we notice that the King of Hearts is now going to strongly make this card work. And of course, we have to see the quadrations and predictions for him, how the presidency went during his tenure, but it's still a tough card. We notice the star planets, and we notice that the ruler moon is also connected to another star planet, Jupiter. So there was starvation. People never really thought that he was fit to do anything. So they dethroned him, and it was just a matter of time before this happened. And of course, the interesting thing is that when he lost the presidency, he was not going to give up very simply because there is an attachment to it, right? Remember, I told you when you have star planets in the card of Saturn, or Saturn himself is starved and the sevens are starved, and it's all connected to the moon, you make it very personal about it. You have a strong attachment trauma now. And he had a lot of attachment to power and authority. Why authority? Seven of Hearts is going to work with King of Hearts. And of course, the very nature of Sun, Rahu, conjunction, the grandiose narcissism that goes on with the 11th cusp. The Five of Spades is the loser. He lost the presidency, and Mercury, who rules the Five of Spades, is in the Seven of Hearts. Constantly there was changes, there was fighting. He instigated the storm of the capital towards the end. Could not get anything done, and he was disappointed. He lost power, but he still lives in delusional thinking, which is one of the natures of Seven of Hearts, that the election was rigged and there was no proper counting and many fake votes were there and all of that. So it's a very tough Seven of Hearts that led to that loss. The 12th cusp is here, star planets are here, the tough cards are connected, and that is the reason he lost. Even the Nine of Spades is there, which is that very card of death. Ruler Saturn is getting activated by the kings, who terminates the presidency in the Seven of Hearts. For him, it has been absolutely disappointing, you can see, and even the public found him absolutely disappointing with that Seven of Hearts. It's not an easy card. That's the most tough card, the Moon card. It gave him a chance, and there are other reasons why this happens. We'll see that in the other course with the cards. But he could not maintain that chance. Like I said, that Mars was highly capable to do what he could in the society, but he could not deliver because of the very nature of the moon. Remember, the moon card in the major arcana is connected to the emperor and empress. It is the card of the management of your environment, and for a president, it's still the management of the country. Absolute mismanagement happened in his presidency because of those star planets. All right. Then the other thing is the diplomat or the minister is also absolutely starved here, which is Venus. Then we have Mercury in starvation. No clear idea or skills and no proper management style to get things done. Some of the policies, like I said, what did I tell you about the two nines? They are the ones that think long term. The policies, some of them were good for the long term. He tried to do those things, but very superficial attempts were made without the lack of backing of research or science. That's what happens when Mercury and Venus connected to the nines are starved. There is no long term stretch anymore. Keep in mind the most important planet for long term vision always is Saturn. He is the planet that thinks not for today, but for the greater good and cause for the very long time of life. And he's also starved and is connected to the nines. This is the reason all these things just end in a big tragedy, big loss for him, big loss for the country. During his presidency as well, there was shutdown of the government, all those things happened. There was the impeachment that happened two times. Again, those are all the Seven of Hearts connected to the King of Hearts and the nines. Again, the secrecies are getting involved here, the spades are getting involved. So it's not an easy situation. All right, it's been a very tough run for him during the presidency. He tried to get things done. You can see it's not like he never made an attempt, but the very lack of this power to these planets is the one that pulls him down. Very difficult situation. Then we can see the Mercury card is a very low value card. 3 points. Sun, Rahu, Uranus conjunction there. Five of Spades, Mercury card. Mercury, of course, is the media and communication. He tried to change the laws there, the social media with the Facebook, Twitter, and other things. But the very nature of the Five of Spades, I told you, is the card of fighting. Constantly he was fighting with people on Twitter. Constantly was fighting with the media people. He made it a point to fight, all right, and he called them fake news, he shut them off, he gaslighted them, he also stonewalled them. There was no proper media attention. All negative publicity came through that three-pointer Mercury card. Absolutely disarray. We have that grandiosity going on, that narcissistic nature of the Sun Rahu conjunction there. And in addition to that, Mercury is starved in the Seven of Hearts. So there was constant pain, constant battling, constant trouble because of the media. Why is there fighting? One, the Five of Spade is there, but now we also have the Sun who rules Mars, the Ace of Spade, Five of Spade being connected. Mars is the planet that introduces fights. Alright? So those things are going on. The second house of speech is also there, constantly pushing him to keep fighting with them. And they were always exposing many of his secrets about his education, about his life, about his personal affairs, about this pornography incident that he had, all those things. And he never liked. The more he got exposed, the more he fought. Because I told you, the nature of this grandiose narcissist is that they need to be in the limelight. They want to appear perfect to the world. The more you expose them, the more they're going to push back on you. We saw that in the case of Elvis Presley as well. Because they want to project to the world that they're perfect. They are not real, they want to be perfect. That fakeness, when it gets exposed, and also the hidden nature of their personality gets exposed, now it's insecure position for them, and they'll fight until the battle of their life. The more stronger Mars is, the stronger the fight will be. That's what goes on between these two cards. Here, again, see that Sun card is super powerful. So he's going to keep pushing as much as possible. It's an ace. You can't beat an ace when it comes to Mars being so powerful there. So no matter what, he had many media channels in support of him, especially Fox News. People were also thinking that Trump was absolutely right. There was all these conspiracy theories with that QAnon, and he instigated people with his speech, right, which is that Mercury, he used his Mercury in the very wrong ways to even motivate them to go and storm the capital. That's the Five of Spade, Ace of Spade. A very severe situation between these two cards. It's not easy. You have to be very careful when you judge these two cards for him. The same cards that give him the profession, you notice, also makes him very combative by nature. It's not a good thing because now you notice Mercury and Mars are connected, and he's always going to be on the defensive. He will be in an absolute state of denial with whatever happens, and he got away with it. You remember the impeachments also, he got away. He was acquitted 2 times, not once, with that Five of Spade, Ace of Spade. Even though he was accused, he was acquitted. That's what happens when Mars is strong. He was the one forming the Raj Yoga, connected to the Three of Diamonds. Absolute power and control for Mars. Then the other interesting thing is, of course, the connections to foreign things and conspiracies in foreign countries. That also you notice. Mercury rules the Five of Spades, is in the Seven of Hearts. He used the power to influence the elections. That's one of the things about him. He asked even Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden. All right. Initially, there was foreign involvement in the first election, which was with Russia. That's all the Seven of Hearts, Five of Spades, where other people are meddling with your business of your country. Moon is your turf, it's your environment, but it's connected to foreign things here because of the 12th cusp. Leo is, of course, your country. The environment is seen through the moon, the country is seen through Leo. That's why it's about creating your own kingdom, Leo, right? Moon is away from your kingdom. Now, people away from your kingdom are meddling with the affairs of your kingdom because Ace of Spade Sun card is connected to the Five of Spade. The dispositor is in the Moon card, which is foreign things, and the 12th cusp. They're trying to change things in your country because the fives are all about change, and that's not in favor of your country because the Seven of Hearts is here. It's a disappointment. It's a very tough Moon card. They're trying to meddle with the affairs to shake things up in your country. That's happening here.
For foreign connections, see that Rahu is also in the picture and the 12th cusp is also there.
It's all connected to that fixed card, which is the Jack of Hearts on Jupiter. Absolute power and Stability is there in the Jack of Hearts, but the ruler is in the Nine of Clubs and is starved. So there was Nine of Clubs involvement, gathering of information, research, data on them, blackmailing them, or trying to expose them. Okay, the nines go dig deeper into whatever information is there. Remember, it's a card of investigation and research, and they throw it out into the limelight. That's what happens because Venus is also in the Seven of Hearts. Foreign people try to meddle, and Five of Spade is not compatible with the Nine of Clubs. These two cards are connected through Bhavat Bhavan, and Nine of Clubs is compatible with the Seven of Hearts. They got what they wanted, but the country never got what they wanted. In this process of the foreign involvement, the country suffered, which is USA, not Trump nor Russia. These are the very subtle things you have to find. So it's like two people are fighting and third party interferes and the third party gains because of that. That's not what you want from your president. You have to be very careful when you have to judging these cards. Then when it comes to is women, foreign women, the three marriages, very clearly we see that. So the birth card is the number 3, Mars is the number 3 planet and is connected to the spouse factors, right? Because we see that Sun, who rules Mars, is in the 5 of spade and there is a Ace of spade, 5 of spade connection. The number 3 planet is connected to the Dharakaraka planet. So 3 marriages and the 3 of diamond card is connected. 3s and 5s work with each other, remember? By Bhavat Bhavan. So that gives him the 3 marriages. That's the number magic here. Then it led to divorces. Why? Because the Dharakaraka card is a 5 of spade. It's a card of divorce, the 5 of spade. It's a card of painful situations because marriage is going through a sore time. Mercury himself is starved. It's connected to the 7 of hearts, the death card of Saturn, which results in the death of the marriage. Why? The spouse factors are here, which is Venus and Saturn. Saturn was a 9 of spade of complete death and termination. He rules the 7th cusp, that's the spouse. 6th cusp is the divorce connected to the 7 of hearts. In the 12th cusp of losses. Then we have Venus also there, who is the natural karaka for spouse. He rules the 9 of clubs and he is also terminating it. Remember, the 9s are also about completing the ordeal. Both the 9s can show the divorce here. And the other nature of the 9 is that signing of deal with the spouse that okay, I will pay you this much alimony. That's the 9 of clubs. And the third cusp of contracts is here. Then Mercury, the Dharakaraka, is also part of this. Whichever way you look at it, the 3 marriages had to end. The current one, I don't know what is going to happen, but looks like it's also going to terminate. It's not probably going to last with these 3 starred planets and the very nature of those cards. Venus was an average card, Saturn was a very good card, but he was starved so he could not protect it. Mercury is the big problem here. Because at the end of it, your Mercury is the one that is needed for maintaining the balance in the marriage because of your communication and also your friendship with your couple. It's not working in your favor, then don't worry. It's not going to last.
Notice the ninth cusp is also falling in a 7 of diamond, which is the card of losses. So the two sevens will also work in that way.
The other interesting thing for him is that he even filed a lawsuit against one of his wives who was trying to sue him for more money because she exposed all this information about him. And that exposure, you notice that the 5 of spade is connected to the ace of spade. 5 of spade is the Mercury card of the spouse, is connected to the ace of spade. She spilled out some secrets about him. And for him, it was a big deal because he's a grandiose narcissist. For them, they don't like anything to be exposed about them. So he filed a $25 million lawsuit, which is that 5 of spade card working with the 9 of spade and the 9 of clubs. Why the 9 of spade is needed? It holds the 6th cusp. Both these cards are connected by planets as well because Saturn, who rules the 9 of spade, is conjunct the 5 of spade Mercury. And all those are connected to the spouse factors as I just explained. Even by Bhavat Bhavam, the 5 of spade will work with the 9 of spade. So he went for the lawsuit, and I don't know what really happened with that, but you can notice a very difficult scenario, okay, with those two cards, alright. Then the constant situation with being in the state of denial when his Presidency, many things he said, he constantly kept manipulating it. As I told you, 1 month before he might have told something, and you play the video again, he would have gone the polar opposite of that, told another thing. Okay, that's that five of spade working with the seven of hearts and Mercury being starved. Okay, five of spade is all about changes, and he's constantly changing his speeches and gaslighting the public. He's not even sure of what he is to do, right? That's what happens with the Sun Rahu conjunction. It's influencing the second cusp of speech as well. The thing is, Sun is not sure now about his consistency with speech. We don't want that kind of an influence on a leader because now the people are going to be confused. They don't know whom to look up to anymore. Because today you come and tell that you will build the wall, tomorrow you tell, I don't want to build the wall, there is something else going on. Today you tell there is going to be trade wars with China, tomorrow you go sign a deal with them. So things like that, one after another, constantly changing. That manipulation going on with that Rahu being there in the five of spade. So he manipulated the minds of the public and also he manipulated the minds of the media persons, you can see, with that five of spades, seven of hearts. Remember, I told you when I looked at the chart of Donald Trump, I told you it's the card of a business salesman more than anything. Even the card spread is like that. Because the three of diamond, the birth card, is one of the very nice cards for being a salesperson. Because remember, it's energized by the Jack of Diamond, which is one of the cards that is about selling things. Okay, a young person trying to sell his ideas, sell his things, sell his projects, whatever it might be. But the very nature of the Three of Diamond is the critical one. Okay, it's about the sales itself. So that's the card that is working for him because this Three of Diamonds ruler, Mars is in the Sun card of career and Sun is in the Five of Spade, constantly working and changing things to make it happen. He was like that the first part of life. And even in his presidency, the same flavor and theme he tried to bring. He sold his idea and his charisma to the public. People looked up to him because of that Sun Rahu conjunction, but they were utterly disappointed because the nature of Rahu, as I told you, the more you get to know them, the more you will go into the disappointment zone because it's going to be full of flaws. Alright? It's like a fruit on the outside, the fruit looks extremely delicious and it looks like it's perfect. There will be a shine on the fruit, like this apples of today's modern day and age. They will wax it, they will make it look completely red, they will pigment it, do whatever needed. But the moment you cut that fruit, inside it will be full of worms and rotten, and nothing will be there that is going to be edible. That's the nature of that Sun Rahu conjunction. It's not an able bodied sun, it's not the ideal version of a man or a leader. And he failed because of that, and that Mercury being in the Seven of Hearts. Alright, he was presented with a great opportunity, but all he did in his presidency was make it about himself. That is the Ace of Spade, because the Mars Ace of Spade card is working through that Five of Spade, through the rulership of these two things. Still a spade, he made it all about himself. Like I said, he goes to even the most disastrous struck events like these events of earthquake and Haiti and everywhere. And even the corona crisis, he made it about himself. For him, he wants everything to be about himself because the attention or the spotlight should be on him, not anyone else. Because he never got the attention or spotlight from his parents. And because he never got that, he is now expecting the whole world to give it because now he is on the top of the food chain. The problem is the more you get attention, the more you'll crave for it. The more you will need the source of supply for this. And the source of supply for this attention for him is all this public who are following him. Unless they cut off that source of supply, he's not going to change. And he never changed even in the Rahu maturation age. It's a very sad situation. The thing I told you about media as well, of course, the media card is very tough on him, the Five of Spades, and is connected to the Seven of Hearts. But instead of doing this half-assed job of the Five of Spades and Seven of Hearts, the low-value three-pointer cards, both of them, if the media was very critical on him in the right ways and never gave him the spotlight that he was craving for, probably he would have mended his ways because that's what happens. You pull the plug, you remove the supply, For this narcissistic people, they're going to change. They have to change because now they want a new source of supply. So for that, either they will change and make the right kind of moves, do the right things in the presidency, or you will just find another way to do it. And the more you push them by cutting off the supply, the more their true nature will come out. And he would have made mistakes on his side. A good strategy for this Mars and Mercury would have been to make him commit the mistakes and errors. There should have been a forced error. The media should have made him do it. But instead, they fell into his trap. That's the charisma of the narcissism. They will command, and you fall into their trap. It's like wrestling with the pigs. He pulled on them, and the more he challenged them, the more they went for it. The five of spade, ace of spade. So he played them very nicely, and he played the minds of the people very nicely to win the presidency, but it did not work in the second time.
First time he won because the Jack of Hearts was energizing the Two of Hearts. Rahu see that is the charismatic card, the Two of Hearts. But if media
Instead, if they would have really been smart and not played to his tricks and cut off the supply, cut off the media attention, things could have been different. They could have forced him to commit the error than the media themselves committing the error. Very tricky situation. Again, these are all some advanced concepts which we will touch in another course, but it's a very important chart for understanding the severities of personality disorders and also the severities of power being abused. Then the other important cards for him will be, of course, the education things that he did, right? He set up a Trump University where he was selling courses and teaching and all of that. And again, that learning and teaching card can be the three of diamonds. But he was just a person setting up the institute. It was managed by someone else. Still, that three of diamond connects to the nines because three squares is nine, and Venus is there. Venus, the ruler of the third cusp of initiator teachings, and the ninth cusp ruler is also Mars. Three of diamond is falling in the ace of spade. Three squares is nine, and also the other way of looking at it is it's a business. Saturn and Venus are connected to the moon card, which is about teaching as well, and Saturn rules the seventh cusp. Moon, who rules all these planets, are in the Jack of Hearts, and again that is connected to the fifth cusp of your students' creativity. All these are pulling off the connections. How is this Atmakaraka Mars connected to the seventh? It is connected because of Mercury. Mars is disposited by the Sun, who is in the Mercury card, the five of spade, and Mercury is conjunct Venus and Saturn. In turn, Moon is in the Jupiter card. Jupiter is in the nine of clubs. So a strong theme is there for all of that. And most important clue you have to find for career for him is that the threes. Threes here can be one of the cards of teaching connected to the nines, three of diamonds working with the nine of clubs. And of course, the very strong nature of the planetary connections here.
still it was a business investment, so the King of Diamond will work with the Nine of Clubs, so it makes it about business and education.
And still, the critical card that we need for his architecture and also for this institution setup is that four of clubs. It is the card of architecture. And here that four of clubs is falling in the nine of clubs. Venus card. Venus is in the moon card. Mercury and Mars are connected here, right? Because Mercury rules that Sun and the five of spade and is conjunct Venus, the dispositor of the four of clubs, Neptune. Now we have connection to architecture for both Mars and Mercury and the four of clubs. Fantastic, right? So fours and sevens even interact by Bhavat Bhavam. Nines and fours interact by Bhavat Bhavam. It's also from the same club suit. And both of them are going to culminate on the seven of hearts. So he has a potential for architecture as well. That's what he's also famous for, because the very nature of the Trump Tower and all of that gives him fame, right? That Rajoga Karaka Mars is pulling off the fame. So important connection to the four of clubs even for education as well as his architecture that we have to see.
The other way of looking at for architecture is that Three of Diamond and Four of Clubs will work. They are compatible. They are next to each other occurring numbers. So Three of Diamond, what was he doing? He was buying property temporarily. Then he used to invest in that, which is the seven of diamond. Three of diamond will work with the seven of diamonds. And the next thing that he did was he sold it after improvement, after the investment. So there was a loss of property, and then there was improvement of that and making profits of millions with that. That is the seven of diamond. Seven of diamond, remember, is the millionaire card. The other interesting thing is that there was at some times even bankruptcies. That also is the seven of diamond, because there was a loss of value, right? Something valuable is lost. So the seven of diamond, three of diamond, four of clubs. Remember, four of clubs and seven of diamonds will work by Bhavat Bhavam. Then we also have three of diamond, seven of diamond working because of the same suit energy as well.
There are two kings in the spread, and those two kings are going to be very important for him. And one, of course, is his father. That's the king of hearts, all right, and he's connected to the jack of hearts. So the very first person that has been a big significant influence on his life is his father, who was the one who lended him loans. Okay, as a very young person, he took $1 million from him and he invested in properties and all of that. And people claim, of course, he has taken it as a loan and he has to give back, but I don't think that never happened. All right, he took more and more money, and apparently all those businesses also went into losses, is what people claim. But there is no full information out there on the internet. One of them is his father. The other one could be another king in his life, any other business person, or any other authoritative person who has been funding him and taking care of him. That king is also there. Okay, or this king can be Donald Trump himself as a business magnate in the world. Okay, he has been invested into big things in properties and several millions and billions of dollars, right? He's been on the Forbes magazine as well. Those two kings are two critical kings in this case. So the nature of foreign people and foreign spouse and foreign investments, again, very clearly we see with the seven of hearts, five of spades connection, right? And also the nine of clubs here. So for the foreign spouse, all the three planets connected to the spouse factors, as I explained in astrology, are in the moon card, which is Cancer sign, and the 12th cusp. Moon himself is in the Jack of Hearts, which shows the lover. So foreign lovers and foreign women are connected here. For foreign investments, the same cards, the nine of spades, nine of clubs, particularly the business investment card of completing the ordeals, is the Venus card and is connected to the other nine, which is Saturn by conjunction in the sevens. And the 12th cusp of foreign places is there. The sign of Cancer is getting involved. He is invested in foreign things. And Mercury, the planet of business, is connected to the 7th cusp lord, Saturn. So all those things clearly give it.
Even Rahu, the foreign planet, is connected here because Mercury rules Rahu and is in the sign of Cancer or the moon card, where is conjunct the business planet 7th cusp lord Saturn and also Venus for the nine of clubs. Most important thing you have to note is very critical connection of King of Diamonds to all these things, because King of Diamonds energizes the sevens as well as the nines. That's the main critical card for investments, and it is all tagged by the planets as well.
Also, we have to keep these two cards, the King of Hearts, King of Diamonds, in mind. Those two cards are connected to the Fool, right? So, the Fool is a person that does not think and he acts. One thing is, of course, he is a fool when it comes to his finances and spending, and also is a very rich person, a king in that. So, some of his spendings are considered maybe foolish in the eyes of normal public. Some of it could be avoided. What other people think is like a mismanagement because you are going too overboard and exuberant when it comes to your spending and finances. The other thing is he's a fool also when it comes to his emotional well-being. So some of the things that he does for women and also for his family can be overboard things with the King of Hearts. Again, that can be a double-edged sword. Both good and bad things come off those two cards. But you notice with the casino business failing, the King of Diamond connected to the Fool is not a big surprise at all. With the relationships failing because of his extramarital affairs, remember the King of Hearts and Jack of Hearts are going to work together. Jack of Hearts is the the lover or also the mistress when it is connected to Venus and the hidden houses such as the 8th and the 12th. Here it is connected because Jupiter is in the Venus card, the ruler of the Jack of Hearts, and the 8th cusp ruler is also Jupiter. Venus, who deposits all of them, is in the 12th cusp here in the moon card. That's the foreign card as well, and also the card of hidden things. All three relationship factors are connected to the Jack of Hearts here now. So he may be a fool when it comes to women, and also how he's doing things for women, the mistress and those things. Those are also what led to divorces. The first divorce was that an extramarital affair, then the foreign connections, and probably some prostitutes and hookers. All those things can be seen with the King of Hearts and Jack of Hearts connection. Not a big deal at all to pick those things here.
He has also invested in the airline business, but that went into bankruptcy, could not make any profits. Interestingly, there are no travel cards here, no eights, no sixes, and such. But there are two cards which can show temporary travel, which is the three of diamonds and the five of spade. Three of diamond, of course, is like the transit at the airport, staying there for a few hours and leaving. Five of spade is the card of movement. Then we have the two of diamond for relocations and movement. Those cards are there, but it's not strongly connected. So probably for this very reason, it was not likely a card spread for him that was going to lead to success in business in the airlines industry. I think that was one of the interesting connections we can see here. For the business itself, again we have the King of Diamonds working with the Nine of Clubs, where the 10th cusp is there, and 3 squares is 9. So the 3 of Diamonds and 9 of Clubs will work. King of Diamonds will work with the 9 of Clubs by energy wise. The 10th cusp is needed. Remember, it's the Vyomasthana, the house in the sky. Then the ruler of that, Venus, who shows vehicles, is also connected to the 7th cusp of travels, which is Saturn. And again, it can be to foreign countries because it's in the sign of Cancer. It's the 12th house, also shows travels. It's connected to Mercury, who is the planet of business, and he shows the 5 of spade card, which is that of changes. That is another way of looking at it.
The other interesting thing is he has 5 children. Very easy to see that. Alright. The Matur Putur Karaka is the sun, who is in the 5 of spade, and is connected to Jupiter as well, because we see that Jupiter is in the 9 of clubs, the 5s and 9s work together. Alright. The 5th cusp, which is falling in the Jupiter card, is in the connection to the moon, and the moon is in the 9 of clubs, and the ruler of all of this is in the 7 of hearts. So there is a connection between Mercury and Jupiter through the moon that is being pulled off. Then the very nature of numbers you can see here, again a 5, which of course works with the 3s, the birth card. And that's a pretty interesting connection with that 5.
So he has had 3 marriages. That also you can see. Mars rules the 9th cusp of committed marriages, and he is falling in the sun card of Ace of Spade, where he is conjunct the 3 of diamonds. That also shows the number 3 marriages there. Then he is the third president to be impeached as well. That's very interesting, right? Birth card is the 3 of diamonds, and it's interesting that he was impeached 3 times. Again, it's connected to power and authority because Mars was the one forming the Raj Yoga, is connected to the ascendant in this case. What is more important is that he was impeached twice. That's the 2 of diamond, Pluto working with the 3 of diamonds in the sun position. Sun shows the career and the authority.
And in his life, he has known to be having extreme ups and downs. In astrology, I explained that already by his connection of Atma Karaka, Mars to the sign of Sagittarius. But in the cards, those extremities are always seen with the kings connected to the sevens and nines, particularly the 7 of diamonds for finances, right? Remember, I told you it's one of the cards that make you a millionaire and billionaire. And that Mars is, of course, making him that millionaire, billionaire by the Raj Yoga. It's still going to be extremes because the King of Diamond is connected to the 7 of diamonds. They are going to try several different things, alright, with the 7 of diamonds, thousands of investments, and in fact, he did that. He used his name. Many people took that name and invested in businesses, but most of those businesses went bankrupt. But the one thing that worked for him is finally being the president of the country. So his real estate business was quite successful in some sense. So that worked. Those two things worked. And until then, there were extremes, ups and downs in his life because the two kings are trying different things. And even for trying and attempting many things, you have to take risks. And that five of spade on Mercury is the risk taker card. Okay, and that also can bring extremes because if you don't calculate your risks correctly, you don't evaluate your risks correctly, you will go make big blunders of it. And you notice there is a lack of queens, right? We see only three queen cards in the entire spread for the three of diamonds. So they're constantly going to suffer with mismanagement. They cannot maintain the things that they create. It's only going to be troublesome for them, maintenance. But completions, which is again the bankruptcies, the completion of the ordeal, signing contracts, or starting new things is not a big problem, especially with the Jack of Hearts and the two kings here. That's been the theme for his life. He struggled quite a bit. He's going to constantly keep struggling with changes and adapting to changes. There is always going to be mismanagement with this five of spade on Mercury. This again, the risk is not evaluated correctly. Unless he spends time and evaluates the risk correctly, that is, this fives will start working with the two nines and he goes deeper into that. He uses his brains a bit to plan all these businesses correctly and he spends enough time, which is basically he does a Warren Buffett. Like I said, he does the thorough research before he goes into investments. Until he does that, don't expect these businesses to always keep working for him. He may have the exuberance, but he will have ups and downs. If you want to avoid the extremes, you have to do what the queens do. The classic example of that is Warren Buffett because he has queens in his spread. So the moment you get queens activated, they are the ones they know what is it worthwhile doing or not. So for him, it's the other way around. It's the kings that bring the success, not the queen energy. It's another subtle thing in his chart. The other cards that are of importance for him is of course the two of hearts Rahu card. Again, this is the dual nature of things with the two of hearts, right? And it's falling in the Mercury position. So that two things work for him, and that is of course the presidency as well as his business. Those number two things are connected here. Then Rahu, of course, being a foreign planet, much of his life has been connected to foreign investments and also his wife is a foreigner. Those two things also are pretty nice. Two of hearts connected to that.
Two of hearts is who we love or what we fall in love with. And here Rahu is in the Mercury card. Mercury is the Dharakaraka. So this shows the foreign connection to the wife as well.
Then we have to also find that six of hearts, five of spade connection to Mercury and the six of hearts, two of hearts culminating in Mercury. Still all culminating in the low value card. So there was never fulfillment coming in through the media, and the media, he almost treated them like a devil. He was running away from them as much as possible. That's the six of hearts. Remember, the red sixes are connected to the devil, and he never made any proper choices in addressing the media. The devil, of course, is connected to the fives here, and even his marriages, he has made poor choices, right? He had those divorces, lack of fulfillment coming through marriages. Why marriage? Mercury is the Dharakaraka. And it's all a low value card. The speech, particularly, also, right? Whatever he says, he regrets later. That's the five of spade connected to the six of hearts. Lack of fulfillment coming because of that fights and instigations because of that. The thing is, Mars is a planet of impatience. He doesn't think first, he acts. Mercury is the planet of acting after thinking. Plans first and then he acts. And that five of spade, ace of spade is connected. Now, because he says something, the White House staff, they have to struggle and they have to do something to back him up. They were constantly struggling also, the five of spade and six of hearts.